There is nothing I hate more than being wet and cold. That's why today we're kicking rain's ass in style by building that curved overhang roof. Now I am going to be working on the roof, building the roof that's gonna overlay into the existing roof. Here we are up on the deck. I got some plywood up here temporarily, and the stairs are framed. Everything's finished with the deck. All these post holding points and everything. And now I'm gonna remove the siding, and I'm gonna have to add most likely a little beam pocket up here, and then have a column going down. So I have to get at the bottom plate and the top plate, so that means all the siding has to be removed. So now I can access the framing. I mean, after I remove the sheathing, which is lumber. Now I'm just trying to get to the bottom plate. The beam pocket post I'm gluing up here will sit on the bottom plate. You guys can see how I cut that post up there. Jumping right into the kitchen, we're building up a beam using some raw honey and organic nails. And this is to not allow bacteria to at all mess with the wood. Wow, would you look at that? All the load paths can be clearly seen in this part. Pretty cool. So over here I've got a tarp, and I got it anchored over here with some screws on this ledger because it's gonna rain tonight. We can say goodbye to this window frame because a door will take its place for providing access to the house. So this is the operation. Behind me you can see these braces. They're holding up the wall plate, and while they hold up the wall plate, I'm gonna get my lintel in there, which that lintel is also gonna support that ridge king stud. And now I'm gonna cut my cripples, and then I'm gonna put the lintel to the top plate, and I can just adjust whatever height I want of door. So that's how I like to do it. There we go. So that's gonna push this up as much as possible and just stiffen everything up. Put a couple more. So the post can sit on top of that lintel right there. I made a little walkboard, and there's the beam that's gonna support the post of the ridge beam. Up here I'm gonna measure the ridge beam length. So I've got my long 2x4 12 foot, and I'm gonna put it up there, make it level. Measure along the bottom. So I have to just measure underneath here to the roof over there. And that's how I'll get the length of this ridge. Then when I get it, I'm gonna build it up 3-ply 2x8, and then it'll stick out 16 inches. I'm gonna go up there and bring my nail gun, and then we're gonna shoot it up there, glue and everything. And this is 14 feet long for the span from the post to the post of the vaulted ceiling. Let's get her done. The center of the post is right in the center of this freaking rafter. I'm gonna have to figure this out. This guy's in the way. But that's kind of a good thing, because then the ridge beam is gonna rest on something. I don't need to add backing or anything like that. So the ridge beam is gonna rest on this rafter, but I'm gonna have to beef it up here. So from this one to this one, I'm gonna have to add a little beam underneath here so that I can cut off that tail and put my post up. So I'm gonna just span from the ceiling joists and put a little beam on there and catch a few rafters with that. I've got this rafter beefer upper piece right here. Then I'm going to add a little bottom plate that's coming up to here, so I can trim it there a little bit so I can put my post there, but I wanted it to be beefier. What I'm talking about, cut a bird's mouth up here, and then this will go from the joist there to here inside of that bird's mouth, and then to that joist, and then this can be kind of cut off if I need. Beat this thing in here very tight, not coming out, and it's spanning between 3 joists to hold up this rafter. Oh man, now I'm gonna put those beefer things on. the rafter framing, the roof framing. So here's that's the top where the beam, and then that's the C-cut. Over here we have the rough fascia, but like imagine it just cut like that. The rough fascia, that's 1.5 inches. Then the finished fascia on the outside of that, and the gutter is gonna be here. I've also got the curve installed, which is just, you know, scraps I used and used a jigsaw. How am I gonna connect this and make it all flow? What I'm thinking is I'm cutting off that and I'm just gonna run my roof through this roof. Like the soffit of the new roof will be the thing you would see when you walk outside. That's my goal. I am going to add a rafter where those tails will be intersecting and kind of merging into a rafter. But in order to do that, I had to go up into the attic and remove some insulation, and now I have it right here. So it's this one I just put in. Now I'm just gonna hammer it over until it butts into those rafter tails. There's the rafter I added. It's in the attic. I'm just gonna put this in here. Or something like that. That's a new rafter. So I went in from the basement and I added the new rafter there. I have my rafter here. This goes in the house all the way up to the top. It's right there. I cut off that rafter and I moved it over basically. Same thing. And all of it dies into that. And it's gonna look kind of nice. The only weird thing is this angle. How I got that line is by using a level. The bottom edge of the plywood's gonna be here, which is gonna be there. It's also gonna be there too. You're gonna see that it will need to be held back a little bit if you want the plywood to land correctly. Okay, this is half of the roof finished here. And now I'm feeling more confident. Do the other side. Cut a saw curve. See, I have one right there. And then I'm gonna drive my fasteners. There you go. Bolt it down. I went to my good old high school wood shop to glue up and cut out these fat components using their super tools and clamps. You can see that I built up these huge timbers from a lot of gluing up, and underneath I got the 45 degrees bevels, and those will be so that the bottom piece can wrap around and miter into the other side. And in order to close the gap here and connect and make it act as one, I'm gonna screw it up there, but I'm also gonna drive this long ass screw. It'll go through just like that much. Check it out, it got the struts in. Here I have a soffit framing done. You can see those little blocks I put in. And now I'm gonna be doing the fascia. So the blocking, this one is for the 4 feet down from the ridge to catch the plywood edge. And that blocking is to allow the plywood to curve. You can see those holes, their purpose. And now I'm gonna do this curved section. It's gonna be a 4-foot section from here to here. Here's how it looks. This is the backing for the plywood. So I've got quite a lot because it's hard to curve. And I'm using 2 8-inch thick plywood, finished plywood sort of material. It works good. It's very strong. Just a template. Just use a grinder to grind off a little bit at a time, and then it'll fit like this. And it ends up looking. I'll show you how it ends up looking. Using a template to get the rough trace out for the wood, for the plywood. That's how it ends up looking after. This thing is the strut. What this does is make that thing look really nice because of the curves and the post in the middle and the color. But what it actually does is holds the triangle